The definition of a smear campaign is a plan to discredit a public figure by making false accusations. Take out public figure and replace it with your name. So in this video I want to talk about the mind games and why they do what they do, and also question how your family and friends get involved. Welcome to the Divorce Sanctuary. My name's Elizabeth Goddard. I help people heal from the trauma of emotionally abusive relationships, and I'm the author of Finding Lily and the A to Z of emotional abuse. On this channel I'll talk about healing from emotional abuse and divorcing both emotionally and physically from the abuser. If you're new to the channel, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you're returning, welcome back and thank you. And thank you to all my new subscribers over the last few months. It's amazing. Thank you for your support. Smear campaigns are designed to ensure the abuser looks like the victim. They create stories about the terrible things you'd allegedly done to them. They want to punish you, and as they can't take responsibility, you were the problem. This might have started before the final discard. They never work alone. The smear campaign could involve their friends and acquaintances, actual friends, your friends, members of your family, even your children. You may ask yourself, why would someone do that? And the simple reason was to create a situation where they would get more attention and they didn't have to take the responsibility for their behaviour. If you think back to the idealisation stage of your relationship, they were telling you that you were the only person who'd ever fully understood them. They were telling you stories about their exes. This was a smear campaign. They were doing the same then. But at the time you were being drugged up on oxytocin and dopamine. You probably saw how they treated other people, but you believed they would never do that to you. You're so good together. Everybody says so. You work so hard not to behave in the same way that all the others had. And you're listening to the smear campaign, not understanding that that's what it is. You were using it as a prompt, remembering not what to do. And for you, in that moment, that's what it was designed for. The idealisation stage is a fact-collecting exercise. The interest that they showed you was for a purpose and will be used over and over again in the relationship and after the relationship. They are now telling similar stories about you, the awful way that they were spoken to, the awful way that they were treated, and they may claim that you're bipolar or have an addiction. This behaviour excites them, it gives them a sense of power, and it gives them the supply they so desperately need. It also exonerates them from any responsibility from the cause of the breakdown of the relationship, taking the focus off them, but keeping on the poor victim that they now play, feeding on the attention that they get as everyone runs round after them, making sure they're okay. During the relationship, they were surrounded by their entourage, the people who you believed were your friends, taking you into their tribe. They repeated to you what the abuser did, stating how good you were together, what an amazing couple you made. They may have also smeared the ex to you, repeating to you what they had been told by the abuser. They appear to be kind and treat you nicely, repeating the same words and thoughts as the abuser. They exclaim how amazing the abuser is and how fortunate you both are, and proclaim how happy you make each other, that they've never seen the abuser so happy. The entourage also help in another way. If any red flags go up for you, they are there confirming everything is okay. And when you question things, you will factor them in. They are still around them and they seem okay. They wouldn't have stayed if there was something seriously wrong. And they help anaesthetise the doubts you may have about the abuser and the relationship. They also aid with the gaslighting later on. You are told how amazing you are by the abuser and by the entourage. You might get a weird gut feeling. Then later you're told that you have trust issues or that you're bipolar. The entourage have helped the abuser when you start questioning if they're right and there really is something wrong with you. Each of the entourage has a value, just like chess pieces on a board. They are the king, obviously, and you are the queen, but you will be demoted, and you are starting to realise this. So you desperately tried to hold on to your position. They got attention from introducing you to people. This attention filled them up, but the life was being sucked out of you. The compliments died, and after a while you're left in this vortex, desperately trying not to fall. Life was whirling around you and you found it difficult to do anything. What you might have noticed was that the entourage disappeared gradually. They changed, and in a similar way to you, they have been brainwashed and controlled. They will have experienced their own form of idealization, devaluation and discard. As you experience the emotional pain, trying to understand what happened, the abuser took it further and told everybody what was wrong with you, and you may have experienced feelings of abandonment, shame and guilt. The entourage changed from your friends to enemies. You would expect them to take sides with their own friends, but you may question when they have spent so much time with you and you believe you got to know them that they would turn on you in the way they do. They are living in the same role or a similar role to the one that you were. They too experience their own version of what you've experienced. They too have danced round the cycle of abuse and will have experienced their own discards. They too have a pedestal that they need to stay on top of, and they too will experience triangulation and manipulation. They enable the abuser, they listen and they agree, and may even have their own stories that they use to back up the abuser's stories, validating the fragile ego of the abuser. Each chess piece has a value, and so do the people that surround the abuser. You were probably their main source of supply, giving the abuser the attention they craved. You were picked for that role, and you very probably knocked another person off the pedestal, even if you didn't know it. The abuser collects people who are willing to play in their games. The entourage ripples out, with each layer having slightly less importance. At times you might have wondered if their inner circle held more importance to them than you. They may have triangulated them with you, manufacturing emotions like jealousy, using the inner circle. These are the rooks. So after the queen, they hold the next highest value. They provide the abuser with admiration, hanging on their every word, agreeing to them, protecting their place. They have probably seen what happens to people in the circle and will hold on tightly. Or they may have experienced being discarded from this place. After a non-verbal agreement, they know what they must do and how they must behave to stay. The next layer are the bishops and the knights. They are the pieces devoted to the abuser, hovering in the background. They're waiting for the invite into the inner circle, obeying every command, waiting for the next set of instructions, and feeling pride with the praise that they get. And out at the edge is the pawn. These people pass in and out, and they may at times linger for a while, waiting for their instructions, and some might stay long enough and prove their importance and loyalty to be invited in to the next layer. Each circle having its own unique bond, the abuser's tendrils linking in on some level to each and every person. They're able to determine who will stay the course and who will be discarded along the way. And each and every person having their reason for wanting to play a role in the abuser's life. There will be some that respond to the inner child that the abuser presents, wanting to help them, provide maternal or paternal love and attention they believe that he's searching for. For others, they seek the validation the abuser offers, never being seen in the way that they are seen with him, and not realizing the abuser is projecting and mirroring themselves. For some, it will be that they see the admiration that the abuser receives and want to be seen in the same light, experiencing this for themselves. Others are intrigued and they hover on the outside. And the new supply might have even come from the inner circle, where they were teased with the amazing life they saw you experience, having no idea what manipulation took place behind the scenes. And it is also possible that the abuser infiltrated your army of family and friends. Or it could be that one of their entourage or a few of them have done this. It's possible that your inner circle have fallen under the same spell for the same inner child wound that the abuser put out. And they themselves having wounds that the abuser would find attractive. And please, I don't want to increase your paranoia. I'm just investigating how you can find yourself in a smear campaign that is being run by people you thought were protecting you. How did they turn you against people? How did they get you to question your relationships with certain people? They did it very slowly. Question here, and then the odd comment dropped that made you question people's motives, followed with a possible, I would never do that to you, followed by some idealization, creating bonds. I've said this many, many times. They are slippery little suckers. The abuser wears a mask, and they are the great pretender. They are amazing listeners, but they don't listen for your benefit. It's all for theirs. This is all about them. You might have even heard that. You might be able to recall a time that you'd been listening to them intently about their day and what was going on and what they needed. And there was a pause in the conversation which you used to talk about your day. A natural conversation between a couple, surely. Only you heard, this isn't all about you. Taken aback, you might have had a questioning look on your face and you might have been stunned. They laughed it off, saying it was only a joke. This was no joke. This was the abuser getting sloppy and allowing their true character to come through. They wear a mask and they use things like denial and deflection to make you question yourself and your reality. This is all about them and their craving for supply, to feel full and feel adored by people. They are unable to go inside and fill themselves up. They are empty and they rely solely on others to do that. They projected everything onto you, their feelings, their emotions, their shortfalls, their anger, blame shifting everything that's happened onto you. The affair they had was your fault. The lack of money is your fault. If you had provided more attention, everything is your fault. And this is one of the reasons when the relationship collapses, it doesn't break down. When something breaks down, it happens over a period of time. This was sudden. It's like having the rug pulled out from underneath you. And they manufactured emotions in you through triangulation to make you jealous, leaving you feeling that there's something wrong with you. And these feelings are so unfamiliar. They then tell you that you have a problem and you have trust issues. Their words are full of bitter criticism, malice, fury, and their eyes are cold and deadly. They were constantly on the prowl. They connect with the cashier at the checkout, a phone call with an ex who's waiting for the discard to be over, their children or family members who provide an instant snack, and then there's the lover waiting by the phone who can provide instant attention. She was there waiting for you to lose your glass slipper so that she could cram her feet inside and walk at the side of the abuser, stepping straight into the life that you vacated. Perhaps what she doesn't realise is this might not happen, that her supply might not be good enough. It's okay in short blasts, but she doesn't have the quality to be upgraded to queen. Once the abuser moved to the devaluation stage, they used the information they had gathered against you, and then the discard, and then back to the idealisation stage, and they begin to drain you of the fuel that you've been supplying them with. You were a project, not a person. You had a value, but you no longer do. The fun has gone from the game now, and the final discard was inevitable. You were left confused and possibly waiting for their return, because they've done this so many times before, and they're watching and waiting as you scream out in pain. Everything they learned will be used against you now. The game has changed. You may want to walk away and heal. They cannot allow that to happen. In their eyes, you will always be connected. This was never their fault. And so the smear campaign starts. I hope you found this useful. If you'd like to find out more ways of working with me, I'll put the links below in the description box, along with the links for both my books, Finding Lily and The A to Z of Emotional Abuse. I also have 2 free workbooks. I'll put those links below. Turn broken into your superpower, and Self-Care is Vital. You can join me over on Facebook in the Divorce Sanctuary, and I'm sending you loads and loads and loads of love.